let's get first the green light. Bitrate is high, so perfect. Welcome everybody to the October ADA Meetup. Thank you all for joining today. Today we have two main topics which will be presented by AJ, who is now the maintainer of Jazz, yet another static site generator, and Max, who has been working on the translation to Ukrainian of the ADA, of the Getting Started with ADA documentation from ADA Core, if I'm correct. And before that, I would like to run down some news, some announcements, let's say, that happened in the past month or so, and then we can jump and let them talk about their topics. So the first thing I would like to mention is something I forgot to say the last meetup, and I think it's quite interesting. Let me share with you my screen. Okay, you should be seeing my screen now. And it is about the release of the GCC GNAT 14 version within Aller. So right now in Aller, we have access to the newest compiler, version 14.2.1. And especially something that I'm very happy about is the release also of GNAT proof, the new GNAT proof, which added a very interesting, very exciting new feature to formal verification, and that is exceptional contracts, which I forgot to mention last time. These exceptional contracts, as far as I understand them, it's just a way for Spark, ADA, to annotate procedures and functions indicating what kinds of exceptions those functions may generate, and letting the caller of functions of the procedure know that they may have to deal with them. So for those of you who do not know, Spark was limited in terms of what it could do with exceptions, and it only basically allowed exceptions to happen and be dealt with exactly right in the function and in the procedure that they took place. They couldn't go up the stack. Spark was not able to prove what would happen in those cases. But now, thanks to these annotations, the exceptional case annotation, we can indicate what happens, in which cases we will throw an exception, and what kind of exception will be thrown, so that the exceptions can be propagated and dealt with accordingly throughout the program. So I think this is a great addition, mostly because, once again, exceptions were one of the weaker points of Spark, and now basically this has been solved. As far as I understand, some languages had dealt with this case by forcing what types of exceptions a given procedure could throw, and making them part of the function signature. So just like we can have the function return type and the input types, what their types and number, these languages also bolted in the types of exceptions that those functions could produce. As far as I know, that's the case of NIM and SIG. But now, with these exceptional cases, we can also annotate our functions and procedures by describing what they can basically do wrong and need help with. So yeah, I recommend you take a look at this. And now this also allows newer programs written in Spark to not have to use the pragma Spark of every time there is a potential exception happening and going up the stacks. So you will have this link, basically the link to the GNAT proof documentation. But as part of the minutes of the meeting, I will link this link so that you can read it. I think it's very interesting and very useful. So that's about it for GNAT proof. I also wanted to bring everybody's attention to Ironclad. We had Christian here, Strexu, a few months ago in the ADA monthly meetup, talking about Ironclad and Gloire, the Ironclad distribution. We also had him during the ADA Europe International Conference, where he also talked once again about it. And I'm very happy to announce that he received a grant, a monetary grant, by the NLNet Foundation, which is going to help him work on the RISC-V board and some extra features of the kernel. So I'm very happy to see some Ada developers getting some grants, some money to work on the projects that they are building. And I think Ironclad is one of those kinds of special projects that deserve quite a bit of attention. And I think I am done with the, well, I'm not fully done. I want to talk about Postman, but that will happen at the very end of this meetup, if you don't mind. So for time being, I think I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm going to let AJ talk more about Ada, about Jazz, the Ada static site generator. So AJ, feel free to share your screen or your documents and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me see about sharing my screen here. So I briefly talked about Yes last week, and let me see here. There we go. There we are. So it stands for Yet Another Static Site Generator. It's if you've ever had, I guess, experience with Jekyll or other static site generators, you essentially create your website using Markdown language, and you have a few specific templates, and then this program can be used to translate those Markdown documents into a website. So this website is also created with Yes. Um, Get Ada is created with Yes, and if you look in Yes's documentation is also created with Yes. So it's here's Get Ada, for example. There's you have a bunch of index.md. It's actually just a bunch of Markdown, and that gets translated to an HTML document that's ultimately on the website once everything is finished. So Get Data or Yes is pretty easy to use. You just after you download it from, you can use Allure to get it, and once you get it, you can just type in Yes, create now new site. It will actually step you through a bunch of prompts that you can do to, set up I guess, a base website, and then you can start, you can modify that template however you want. There's a lot of configuration. You can even configure what type of comments you want to use and everything. And I'll kind of just step through what that looks like here. So go ahead and bring up my terminal. So I'm here, this is my MacBook. And if I just do Yes help, gives me some information here. You can get information like the version, etc. Bring out the README if you wanted to. But what we want to do is Yes, create, and then new site. So this is going to ask a bunch of questions, enter the name of the site. If you just hit enter, it just takes the default. So I'm just going to leave all of those as is. Put my name here. This is fine. It can generate Atom feeds. It can create a sitemap. If you want HTML embedded. So this is actually recently a new option where the latest version of Markdown stopped support, or CMark stopped translating HTML in the website. So if you wanted to have, and this is for security reasons, but if you wanted to have your website just completely Markdown and have it like literally just translate the HTML to characters that look like the HTML that was entered, you can do this. It will just ignore all the HTML and it will kind of scrape that out at build time. I think this is all good. All right, so we just do a quick look at one new site here, we have, configuration file. We have our default index.md. Have a few other stuff here. We have some layouts that are built out. So we're just going to look and see what that configuration file looks like. And let's see here. We don't really have any pretty syntax highlighting with this Vim instance I'm using right now. But, it's essentially just the configuration file that we put out here. You can modify this. You can also use AWS to, it's built in to just load a local web server so you can browse your site after you build it on your own computer without having to upload it anywhere. But you can set, here's the tag separator. So this also supports AWS templates, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But basically, you can define what those tag separators end up looking like. And the reason it looks like this is because that's kind of the default for, I think it's Mustache. And it's what Jekyll uses. So it was kind of to soften the blow of switching from Jekyll to something else if you wanted to do so. But yeah, if I just look at this here, and I'm not sure why I don't have my syntax highlighting right now, but yeah, there's absolutely nothing in here right now. So you just have the tags where you've defined your title, your description, and these are essentially, you can say what layout you want to use. So right now it's just the default. But that's basically how you start it. To build the website, you would just do yes build, and it will bring that back up again. So if I go back out here and I do yes build new site, it just goes out, builds the site. And if I just do tree, you'll see it's going to have a whole thing under output. It has the entire website in the output directory, which again isn't much because we just have an index.md. But to give you a better example, if I were to use get Ada, let's see here. One second. So this would end up in the output directory. You'd end up having the JavaScript file, all this other information. I think I have it here. Here we go. This is essentially what you would end up with in the output directory, translating all the markdown files into a tray. And I'm working on a GitHub action that will just automatically run Yas, convert your directory into a website, and then copy it over to a GitHub IO website. So eventually what I want to do is be able to have, once you update one of your websites, then it will automatically convert the website into HTML and move that over. Yes, also supports modules. Right now, the modules are just they're actual binary files that have to be run that are put into that. There's like a post directory, a pre directory, and essentially, Yes just looks in those directories, runs those binary files while passing the entire content of the website to the binary file to let it do like transformations and stuff like that. But what I'm working on doing is implementing the that hack Ada compiler into Yas, so you'll be able to just create kind of like Ada scripts to handle processing that data. And you can create different. So if I go back to the documentation, I just pick one of these here. You can kind of create things that iterate. So for example, details. So these are tags. So you can set tags um, at the beginning of the file. So next link tags.html, next text tags, and then you can reference them in here. So, if we have, for example, and actually they'll be in the layout, but so if we look at, as you can see, I'm defining all these arrays. So it's like details. This is defining kind of like a vector or an array of tags called details, and I'm storing notes. I'm storing create new site project, all these things. I'm storing these in the details array. And one of my next steps is to be able to allow importing like JSON files and stuff like that to use these more flexibly. But once you have, for example, this details and details link, you can go into the actual templates and you can use these. All of these are just the AWS templates. So if you're familiar at all with any of those, you can edit that. There's a lot of documentation, but you can say, hey, if the title tag exists, then put the title and put the name. You can have these tables. These table tags essentially just are iterations. So you can say, hey, if the details tag exists, then create your table of contents and then start this table of tags. This will iterate over the entire table array, and you can reference both table details and details, and it will show that index of the array. So essentially you're converting everything from this here, these, it'll say notes and it will, link to the notes page, creating new site, link to the create new site page. That's kind of how that's working with creating these. And you can use these table tags if you want to then, create directories. So you can have it reference the name underscore v, for example, which is stored somewhere else. And it's basically just iterating through every one of these, creating a directory of every page. And I said, I recently only, I mean, yes, works as is pretty well, but I only recently um, was able to take over the project, and I'm basically I got it in Allure, so it wasn't as well before. It wasn't really building on Macs and wasn't building on more. I guess didn't have a lot of modern building working behind it, but now it's in Allure, and you can just if you want to get it, you can just ALR get yes, and it will pull it down for you. You can also just download it here. I have bunch of binaries. Works on Windows too, but yeah, that's essentially how Yas works. The website, it's just yas.website. It's got a lot of documentation that kind of goes through all this, the different template tags and everything. Um, I might be working on the theme on this page at some point. It was just a direct copy of what was there before theme wise, but it does define all of the different current options and features and that sort of thing. And I think it links out to somewhere, it links out to AWS's website for the actual templates documentation. If you want to get into all that, it fully supports it. But yeah, that's yes. Anyone have any questions?
Yes, Weston?
Weston?
Hi, yeah, thanks for presenting that. I kind of missed a little bit about the hack support. I don't do web pages, so I'm just kind of curious. So, how would someone possibly use hack when it's available?
So we have this over here, a module section, and essentially right now all it's doing is at build time, it's going into this module section and allowing you to run basically SH scripts or other binaries. And it passes that information in, and then you can have the SH files like do something with that information. It passes that information back to yes. I think it supports some environment variables and stuff too. What I'm hoping to do is basically see if I can get Hack to instead of just loading in SH files to load in Ada files that are in these module areas and pass information onto that for and kind of build like a little bit of a pseudo API. So instead of having to write SH files for modules for YAS, you can just write files in Ada that will do some kind of processing when you do this. So it's you're basically I'm still like in the very early stages of putting together a new like modules API and stuff like that. But I'm hoping you'll be able to essentially have Hack load and run these Ada files that are in here. Basically, have it as a import as a library part of NAT. But it's just when basically Yes would have its own I guess copy of Hack with it and uses that to execute the files in the modules directory at one of those times. That's kind of what's spinning around in my head.
Oh, nice. Okay, thank you for explaining.
Yeah. Anyone else? Great. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. And now, Max, would you like to present the work that you've been doing, translating the documentation?
So I would like to do early announcement about my new site. I launch in other Ukraine organization and site for it. I think the main content of the site will be a translation of learn.core.com. It has a lot of interesting books in English, and I think it would be very useful for Ukrainian people to have this translated into native language. So I started with cloning the Learn repository and hack it to disable English book and adding some new features. First, we start translated the course of Introduction to Ada, and we already have 4 chapters of it, and this is very useful to have already implemented widget to run Ada just in the browser, and because we just forked the repository, it work out of the box for us. You can edit the Ada program and click run on it, and it works. But I want site to be to provide other features such as blog post, for example, and I don't like to write content in restructured text as learn.core.com has. So I found a way to enable Markdown syntax in this engine, and also I enabled some blog post engine. This is example how a blog post looks like on our site. So it's combination of learn and blog post. I have Andre on board. Andre translated first book of learn.core.com, and I think we will invite more people to join this. I talk with professor from Kiev Polytechnical Institute, and he has some interest in this. I also speak with a company that has interested in ADA. So it's start. Maybe next step is to provide some feedback, like comments on this site. I don't want to integrate, discuss website, but I thinking about found other solution for commenting and maybe social media links here. I need. It required to me to change the theme of the site because blogging engine does not supported by read the docs theme that used in other learn.com. But I think a new theme is not bad. And also we have PDF and ebook. Currently PDF is 550 pages already, and it looks very good. So if you need translation of Learn, and if you need like the idea, you can ask me for advice how to implement this site for Italian maybe, or I know other languages. That's all what I want to share.
Are there any questions that you would like to ask, Max? Yes, Wesley?
Are you translating manually, or are you using like AI tools to help speed up the translation?
No, as far as I know, Andrew translate this manually without AI tools, but I use some AI to translate some topics, and I'm going to use AI. It's not bad as I can see, so it's between.
Nice, great. And thank you for translating the documentation. I think quite a lot of people have this huge language barrier with English, and lowering it is it's quite nice to see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any more questions? So I don't see any. So I would like to talk about one last topic myself, which I hinted at last month, and that is FOSDEM. So as I said last month, FOSDEM 2025 was likely to make an announcement about the next edition, and just a few days afterwards, they announced that it, as expected, it would be taking place the first weekend of February, as always. So it will be the 1st and the 2nd of February 2025. And a few days later, they opened the calls for dev rooms and stands. So if you've been in the forum, I created a large topic, as I said last time, about a discussion of whether we should apply for a dev room or not in order to have a specific ADA on other environments in other dev rooms about the projects that we as a community work on. So it was quite a bit of a discussion. That's what I wanted to see. So we had quite a few people involved in, they communicated their opinions about the issues I rose, the pros and cons about these two different approaches. And I will let you read it if you want. I think the consensus of most people was that we should try to get a dev room, and that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully, either just right after this meetup or maybe tomorrow. I would like to already apply for the dev room. Now, the biggest issue, or let's say topic that needs to be solved, is about whether we apply for a full day dev room or a half a day dev room. I think the majority of people would like to apply for a full day dev room, and in my humble opinion, that is the most ideal situation. However, there is the issue that since we've not been given a dev room in these past 2 years, and this year we didn't even get a stand, as AJ mentioned in one of his posts, it seems unlikely that we are going to get a full day right out of the bat after not receiving a dev room these past 2 years. However, I think people still seem to want to try it, so I think I will try to apply for a full day dev room, and once again put in a comment saying that the half a day dev room would still be more than acceptable. So yes, as I said, I will most likely make the submission this weekend, mostly because I won't be available next week, and the deadline is I believe for like Friday next week. So yeah, here the 10th of October. So that is pretty much everything about FOSDEM that I wanted to point out. Hopefully we get a dev room. If we don't, we'll ask for a stand. That's the backup plan, and then we will ask for people to submit their work to other dev rooms if they fit the dev room topics. And I also wanted to mention something slightly different, and that is that ADA Europe, the ADA Association in Europe, had its General Assembly last month, about a couple of weeks ago, and the creation of the ADA User Society was fully approved. The mission of the ADA Europe president was approved in favor of him going to the ADA User Society and becoming the president and vice president with Tucker Taff. So yeah, hopefully the death of SIG ADA will mean that we get the opportunity to create something bigger. And most people were in favor. There were some technical issues that we will need to solve, and hopefully the new ADA User Society will grow organically and will become something bigger. So I'm hopeful for that. Most people are also very hopeful. I think most people in the board of ADA Europe and the people who took part on the General Assembly had high hopes of the new society. So we'll see where it goes. Also, once again, I think I mentioned this last month, but the next ADA Europe conference will be taking place in Paris. And I also let the ADA Europe board know that I will also try to create a workshop in that ADA Europe conference. So that's everything from my side. Something, and this is a personal thing, so I'm being a little bit egoistic here. The ADA User Society, I feel like it has been centered very heavily in the United States, mostly because of the death of SIG ADA, which was mostly a United States centered institution. But since this is now a global society, I would also like to see a bigger reach and try to capture people also from Australia, for example, and New Zealand, which I know we have some people over there, and see if we can also provide value to those people and the ADA programmers around the world, not just in ADA, not just in Europe and the US, can also get some valuable substance from the creation of that global society. But once again, there seems to be this regional infighting of Europe and the US and things like that. but I have high hopes about that. So that was everything from my side today, and that I wanted to talk to you about. If someone wants to talk about any specific topic or would like to bring any issues or improvements, as always, feel free to. Yes, Weston?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I did read I did read the discussion, and I noted that one of the things that you mentioned was that at the end of the document, it suggested that they're open to half days. Maybe that should be brought up at the top, because I think somebody said that, oh, maybe they missed it, but well, maybe put it at the very top, saying, hey, this is our submission for a full day, but we're open to a half day as well. So that way it's not forgotten or missed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have the rest of the document.
Yeah, I agree. I usually wrote that as a like extra comments or suggestions box that they have, but I think, as you say, it should be probably at the top of the very the description of the room. Those descriptions normally then get copied and then get publicized, but we can always, the organizers, we can always modify those. So even if we leave a comment at the top, we can then take it out afterwards. And I think that's a good idea. Also, someone, I think, who was it? I don't remember. They mentioned that I should also add a reference to the forums and pointing out that we are growing as a community and we are active, and pointing out linking the new Ada Lang website, which looks quite a bit more modern. I think that's also a good idea. I haven't posted an updated text into the forums, but that will also be a part of the new text. And also talking about websites, new and modern, there have been complaints about Adaik's website being down, and the Ada Auth also being down. Those websites were very well known because they hosted the standards, the Ada standards, the public Ada standards that pretty much everybody here references to. There was an update from Tucker Taff in Reddit pointing out that the servers, at least from Ada Auth, if I'm correct, were hosted in the US. I don't know in which state, but they were flooded. That's why the website is down, and it's not just a simple technical issue that can be quickly fixed. So they are looking into it. Luckily for us, some people did have copies of these websites, and Ada Lang, let me share my screen. JC says that they are up. Oh, if they fixed it, then wonderful. Actually, let me check. Let me open a new. And okay. So the issue has been solved. Great. That's great news. I haven't checked it in the last couple of weeks. Well, actually, last week. So it's great to see that they are up and running once again. So issue solved. But in case you didn't know, I wanted to point you to Ada Lang, where we also have the reference manual here, and it's formatted in a slightly more modern document-like way, like Learn Ada, or the website that Maxim just pointed us to, the Ukrainian translation of learn.ada. So this was also available for everybody to use, and a user of the forums, I would like to point him out. I think it was, Capitan Haddock, which William Frank. He is the maintainer of let me I don't remember his page. Yeah, AdaForge. So he's the maintainer of AdaForge, which also has tons of links to forums, to chats, to documentation, to tools, etc. And as far as I know, he also maintained a copy of the documentation. I can't. Let me check the learn, which is probably here. The rationales. So here, oh no, this is a link to the. Here, he has a local copy also. So if you prefer this copy from Ada Forge of the reference manual, you also have this one available. But well, crisis solved in terms of Ada Auth and Ada IC. So that's good news, I believe, for everybody. So thank you for pointing that out.
I would say that Ada Forge website looks nice. I don't think I've visited it before.
I will add it then to the minutes of the meeting so that everybody gets it. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know, I'm writing the minutes of the meeting in the Ada Lang forums. So in the announcement at the end of this meeting, that's where I write the minutes of the meeting, and I also publicize them, I believe, to comp.lang.ada. I think I've never said that.
Oh, regarding the Ada Dev Room submission of, I don't know if I don't think I've read any recent ones, but does it mention about the work that's being done with the cherry processor? Something relevant to, like, you know?
I see what you mean. The thing is, it's not functional. There are already files within GCC that start enabling the cherry processor within Ada, but that's still not usable. And I don't know how far it's going to take. As far as I know, it's some testing files that Ada Core has already been developing internally for their own use. And they've been contributing some parts of it. But the last time I talked to an Ada Core engineer, they told me that I shouldn't mention it. When I was writing the changelog for GCC 14, they told me don't talk about it because it's not functional, it doesn't work, and it's just us for now testing it for a client. So I don't want to talk about it as part of the announcement or the description of the dev room when it's not really that usable. It's a bit of a false promise as of today. Hopefully, maybe the next year it won't.
Oh, okay. I was just suggesting. I know it's still being worked on, but I was just thinking that if we want to, like, make people aware that, you know, hey, there's stuff actually going on with Ada. I mean, in terms of like research or anything, right? It could just be even just research. I just thought that would show, hey, see, it's still relevant with these type of projects. That's all. But
Yeah.
I understand your point of view.
Yes, one big change that I did with regards to last year's submission, which we didn't get approved for, was the mentioning of NVIDIA using Ada and other bigger enterprises. I forgot to say and to talk about them last year, but now they are part also of the description of the dev room. Hopefully, that will also give us some points.
Okay. Okay. So you do mention or you will be mentioning some companies that are using it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Yeah. Or even what's the company Rapida Systems? I believe they use it a lot too.
Rapida Systems has been a huge user of Ada for a long time, and then they produce a tooling for the analysis of Ada programs and certification of Ada high integrity Ada programs. I was very lucky, and one of their two top engineers gave a presentation about Rapida Systems during the Ada Spain meetup. Yearly meetup that we have, and they explained everything to us, and they have quite a bit of tools over there. But as far as I know, I talked to some automobile people, and Rapida is also very well known in the automobile industry for, once again, certification processes. But I don't think a lot of people outside of the high integrity, high quality software are aware of it. I could mention them, by the way. That shouldn't be a problem. So, are there any more questions or topics that you would like to see covered?
Oh, actually, I do have a question. So, in the best case that there is a dev room that's approved,
Mhm.
so are there? Could you use help from people from remotely to help organize it, or like for example, I can't. I'm not going to be able to attend for sure, but I was just wondering if you could still use help like remotely. But I know I'm getting ahead of myself because first I have to get approval. But I was just kind of curious.
That's a good question. Just to let you know what happens behind the scenes, which a lot of people don't get a sneak peek on. First, we make a submission. If we are approved, then we have to make an announcement for submissions for the speakers to submit their talks. Then we start receiving the whatever people want to talk about. If there are too many talks or something, we start siphoning out those that we don't deem worthy. And the biggest issue is like coordinating with the speakers and making sure that they have everything their slides submitted on time, that they know what they writing the instructions for them to speak on and how to structure things, etc. And that takes out quite a bit of time, and that's done through emails. So basically, anybody can do that around the world. Then the day of the dead room, that's where everything starts going a little bit crazy, and that's where we always need a couple of people announcing the speakers, giving them help if they have any special requirements. That's a little bit trickier. However, the amount of work that's required before the actual day is not that huge. It used to be very large when it was online only. And I remember the first web room I organized, I was going mad because I had to review also the videos. For example, Maxim also gave a presentation the first year I was the organizer, and I had to view like 7 videos, tell some speakers, redo them, then watch them again, then everything, and the entire online setup was very technically challenging. And that could have been done fully online. It was actually done fully online. But nowadays, it's just making sure that the speakers send their slides on time and reading their descriptions. So it's not that much work apart from the actual day of the conference. That's where things go crazy. So you could help if you want, but it's not that. We don't get me wrong. We don't really need that much help nowadays. If it goes back to an online format, yes. And also video reviews after the conference. All the recordings that are done by the FOSDEM team, they need to be reviewed both by the organizer and the speaker. So that also takes quite a bit of time.
Thank you. Oh, and I do have one other question. The new society, I forgot the rest of the name. So, is it now, or will it soon be open to other people to participate in these discussions?
Yes, so the formation of the ADA User Society was approved this summer, and the body for the actual like organization of the representatives of the ADA User Society were approved a couple of weeks ago. So now they have to get to work, set the basis of the new ADA User Society, which have already been somewhat pre-reasoned as part of the creation of the society. I won't go into the details. So they have to get to work. They have to set up everything, and once they've set everything up, they will start making announcements and accepting people. I don't know how long that's going to take. If I remember correctly, I think they wanted to have something before the end of the year, and I don't know if they were already ready for next year to receive submissions. So, yeah, that's all I can say. I would like to talk to the ADA Europe people to see if the minutes of the meeting, etc., can be shared with non-members, which I'm not so sure about. But the minutes should cover those questions, and we should be receiving the slides that were presented as members. I don't know if we can share those. But something I want is for them to be more public and be more transparent. So the moment they start doing anything, believe me, I will let you know.
Great, thank you.
So, any more questions? Yes, AJ.
Not as much as a question, as more of just like my thoughts as far as the dev rooms and stuff go. I've already aired my thoughts, so it's we all know them. But I think, yeah, it's probably worth trying a full day. And I was also going to suggest like putting it right at the top. So the first, like one of the first things they say, because as there's a good chance they're just going to browse over anything in special requirements and only consider that if they actually decide to pick us. So I would say if we get a full day, fantastic. If we get if we don't get a full day, we aim for a stand. If we get a stand, okay. If we don't get a stand, I've already got my tickets to Brussels. I think that it's definitely worth trying to go back to the fallback plan of trying to put some heavy hitting presentations into FOSDEM. Like even if we don't have a presence at FOSDEM, we can like meet up somewhere else in Brussels, even just after the conference or something like that, or like a Saturday night or whatever, if we all are there anyway. So it's not like it's all going to be totally for nothing, but I still think we should make an effort to have a presence there, even without a dev room or a stand, if we end up getting to that point. So I would still kind of think about what kind of presentations you would like to give if we don't end up having a dev room, and seeing what, to get an idea of what dev rooms were going on last year, to see what maybe you can present in there. And I think that would only help for next year, or the following FOSDEM 2026, where we can say, hey, look at all these presentations that were based around Ada for the past last one. So yeah, exactly, that one right there.
So I just want to share regarding your question for people who may not be aware. These are all, let me zoom in a little bit, all the dev rooms that are present, that took place this year. And we have from AI to containers to DNS to LLVM. We even have some legislative topics, very important here in Europe. We have some lobbying, let's say, groups about that. So as I wrote in my initial post, we have some dev rooms that Ada projects could take place on. So for example, mostly like embedded systems. Ada is absolutely wonderful at that. Ada could also be showcased by creating a emulator thanks to its data modeling properties. I think it's one of the most wonderful programming languages for that, etc., etc. But that would this would require the help of the commitment or the determination of speakers to see what they would like, if they would like to speak, what they would like to speak about, and share it with these dev rooms. And as I said, it cannot be an Ada talk. It has to match the topic that's being covered in any of these rooms. So, for example, if you would like to do something in embedded or mobile or automotive dev room, saying, oh, let me showcase Ada with how Ada does embedded. That could get approved, but something that's even more likely to be approved is, hey, I created this very cool embedded system. By the way, it's written in Ada, so let's take a look at how it's designed. I think that would have a higher chance of getting approved. So But that depends once again on the topics, on the presenters, what dev rooms get actually approved or not this year. In the past couple of years, there have been some changes. Here I'm seeing also the microkernel and component-based OS dev room. ADAOS has a couple of really cool OSs, microkernels in this space. So that's up to the FOSDEM organization and up to us, the speakers or the people who are willing to talk, to decide.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good point to not make it just only have A to B they highlight. It's got to be more than that. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
Then, are there any more topics, or should we adjourn the meetup? Well, it doesn't seem to. Yes, Weston?
Were you planning to mention that? I think. Oh, did you already mention that how Ironclad got funding?
Yes, Ironclad got funding, and by the way, the way he did it, I think it was a little bit of work for him to get some funding from one conversation I had with him. But he basically just submitted it to the NLNet Foundation, and they accept submissions of projects that would like to have some funding. He submitted his project. I don't know what kinds of informations, bits of information are required, but he just wrote to them. As far as I know, he went through the process and he got accepted. So yeah, the reason I'm mentioning this is because a lot of people think that this is a very tricky thing to get funding or to find any support. But there are groups like the NL Foundation that do help smaller projects. But it requires the effort from the programmer, from the creator to push through and put in the initial effort to get some funding in the first place, which at least here in Europe, I don't know how familiar you are with public funds and things like that, but holy moly, they require a lot of paperwork. It's quite a bit of effort, to be honest. Well then, thank you for attending this meetup for October. I think we'll have also the next one in November. I'll make an announcement to see if whenever I'm ready. And yes, once again, you will have the minutes of the meetup in a few hours, hopefully. And feel free to make any submissions of topics, just like AJ or Max did for this month. So please feel free to just interact with the community. As I wrote in the Ironclad thread, make some noise, go places, basically. So thank you, everybody. Ciao.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Oh yes, Alexis and Wesley. Maybe you wanted to upload and you raised your hands by mistake.
Sorry, I accidentally clicked on it.
I clicked on the wrong icon, but yeah, thank you very much for.
No problem. Ciao.
But thank you for continuing to do these monthly meetups.
My pleasure.